where you guys are, y'all could do the same. We'll be back with you for the bottom half of this inning. Bucs up 10-0 still.
Back for the bottom of the fourth inning. Brett Castillo at the plate. We saw him on the mound in the top half of this frame. Takes one low. We'll speak to the final member of this Bucs coaching staff. That'd be Austin Dunham in the top of the fifth. He's coaching at first base while the Bucs are at the plate.
Hopefully not for not too long. I mean, that was a long last inning, and we want to get Dunham up there. 10 runs. I hope it's enough, but we want to see these Bucs players hit.
Not every day you say 10 runs on 4 hits.
Yeah.
But these high school guys, they don't all play together, so a little bit understandable. I would say the bright lights, but in summer in Alaska, no lights. The bright sun of Mulcahy Stadium.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't foresee the lights ever having to come on
really
here.
no need
There's
for them.
just no need at all. I mean, I would say maybe 11, 12 p.m.
I don't even know.
I don't even think
we
so.
were talking yesterday at the Chinook Stadium. I'm not even sure that there were lights. There might have been some as he gets hit by that one, and here's some cheers from the home dugout. But I was having trouble even finding lights. I don't know if they had any.
Yeah, there was one light out there, but I think it was a parking lot light because the lights have to look kind of like this, where
they didn't.
It's one pole and they've got tons of lights on it, but yeah, they don't have it, which is interesting. I mean, I guess that you just don't play games there during the winter. I mean, I guess you really can't play games there during the winter.
That's all you did. I will not be out there with you if you choose to do that.
Yeah, I know. My baseball days are long and far between. So, but I did bring my glove out here, and I forgot to mention it to Springman. But I'm always ready to get out on the field. No, I can't.
There's no tanking for draft picks, right?
Oh God.
Otherwise, maybe there's a spot.
Yeah, if they didn't, lower all that the drafts, from what 2,000 guys get drafted to now 600, that is a huge drop off. And going back to Sanagorski, who was drafted in the 39th round, I'm not even sure if there's a 39th round anymore. That seems like too many picks. So, with this new, MLB draft, players are getting drafted less and less. And up here, we might, find just a couple of guys get drafted in the ABL.
Yeah, it would be awesome to see some of these Bucs down the road have their name called, and then if they're blessed enough and lucky enough to make it on to the big stage, make it to the show. But got to take it one step at a time. Like Coach Springman was saying, if these guys come here this summer thinking about the MLB, they're probably not going to have the best summer. But when you focus on what's important and what's in front of you, other things tend to play out.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen videos of guys up at the Cape Cod, and they get the phone call as I'm gonna put back our picture. I feel like people might want to see it. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just saying. Maybe I just love to look at myself. That ball gets away, but no advancement. But yeah, guys get drafted up in the Cape Cod League, and there's videos of them reacting, and everyone's kind of huddled up around them. Not a full-on dog pile, but just everyone's happy, cheering, and it's a great moment. And if that were to ever happen, you'd love for it to happen here at the ballpark. After a game, before a game, after a big win would be nice too. But we've seen guys in collegiate baseball get drafted, right after game. It was Dansby Swanson right after Vandy played in some playoff game. It had to have been, I guess, some regional or something like that, because that's when the draft used to be back in June, and now it's in July. So unfortunately, that doesn't happen anymore. Where we see collegiate guys get drafted right after a big NCAA game. We just don't see that as much.
Yeah, and even if it happens down the road, you hope that these guys stay in touch. Maybe a big group chat, have a congratulatory text to their buddies. And even though they're only here for a couple of months together, they're spending a lot of time each day together, especially on those road games, the bus rides, even on the home games, getting here a few hours before the game starts and then spending time in the dugout together or in the bullpen, wherever they may be. So you hope that these guys get close and can have some lasting relationships.
Popped him up, and QZ just missed that one, it seems. Third baseman hauls that one in, no problem. And it's honestly the Oilers road trip. That's a huge one where these guys can really come together and bond. And if you guys don't know, when we go out to the Kenai Peninsula, where we just were fishing the other day, but we're going a little bit further right into Kenai. These guys stay almost at like a dormitory, but I've heard it's like 30 beds, but 10 rooms, maybe even less than that. So you're going to have 3 or 4 guys bunking up together. And the guys that aren't, they're all going to be in the same space. So I think that's huge. And I wish it was a little earlier in the season, but I think a midway point is a great time.
I was actually going to say I like where it is a lot because I wouldn't want to be there super early in the season before these guys know each other at least a little bit and before they're in a rhythm on the field. So now you'll have them in a rhythm, and then coming back from that, the final push for the month of July, about halfway through the season, I think it's really good timing for the Bucs. And when you're home for these games or even the road games where we just bus back and forth same day, after the game, you're splitting off to your separate houses and things like that. But for that trip after the game, you're all going back together. So they're really going to spend a lot of time together, about 5 nights, I believe, somewhere around there. Not too many nights in a row to where they're kind of sick of each other. I think just the right amount. I know how it can be going to summer camp for a while. You get sick of each other cooped up in the same place. But I think it's great timing, and I think it'll be a fun time for them.
Yeah, and especially if the team's playing well coming into that series.
For sure, and during the series.
Yes, and during the series makes for way better gameplay as the backstop gets turned around a little bit. Couldn't find that baseball new backstop in there. We're still figuring out the numbers. Of course, everyone's a lot of guys have the same numbers coming from different schools. Can't really tell who.
Yeah, the gear's kind of blocking it.
Yeah, we apologize. We're trying to get everyone in here. We know this was a special broadcast, and we'll have Dunham in here not too long. Deuces Wild here. It's been a really good inning so far for the high schoolers, but we'll see how it turns out as Unsaker.
Loud foul ball.
Yeah, quickly almost turned my word against me. But yeah, going back, it's the big road trip coming up. This team is already gelled together really well, and that'll be fun to see. Like we said, especially if they're going into it playing well, and if they are playing well against the Oilers over there in the Kenai Peninsula. Wow. Big swing, but right at the center fielder, who has no problem with it. For out number 3, first 1-2-3 inning for this Camp All-Stars pitching staff. So taking time and talking to us, really appreciate it. You've done a great work at first base and great work in the bullpen. This pitching staff has looked so good, but thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate both of you. It's a good time.
All right. Well, that's it for the coaches. Austin Dunham, save the best for last, right?
That's right.
All right, so we'll take another quick break here, and we'll bring you our second to last guest here when we come back.
Are we going to
Welcome back here. Bucks take another crack at it, up 10-0. Just 4 hits, though. A lot of walks. Bucks have been pretty patient. Um, as much as we've been, facing the field, haven't been paying too much attention to the actual at bats. So not sure if they're just not getting many pitches to hit, um, or they're just taking, really good, really close pitches for balls. This one's skied in the air, giving chase on it. The third baseman, and he'll run out of room. It was good talking to all the coaches.
yeah.
They all got the same kind of mindset here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're looking to grow this team, and especially with the younger coaches, they're looking to grow themselves. But I believe it was Monty who said he thinks he's going to learn more from the players than they learn from him. So even the guys who have been around for a while, knowing that there's always room for improvement as coaches, as people, and I think they're all just excited about the opportunity to be a part of this Bucks organization this summer.
Yep, all of them have got a good head on their shoulders, have all taken things from past coaches and even players, too, that they've mentored and are bringing them here to Anchorage and just done a great job so far. Like we said, 5-1 the team is. They just look red hot to start this year and trying to add some more on the board here. Next up, we'll be getting a player over here, one of our pitchers. Won't tease too much. Want a little surprise for you guys, but if you're still with us, we appreciate it, especially if you're on the East Coast. We appreciate you guys being with us. We know it's late there.
Camera just holding up.
Yep, just holding up. So full count already on the hill. Number 19. I don't have 19.
Yeah, I was looking earlier trying to give him some credit, give him some flowers for making it to this big game, but don't have a 19 on either of the rosters that we've been given. But like you mentioned during the national anthem, got the bleach blonde hair, state playoff tradition across the country, as far west as Alaska. And I guess Hawaii, but I know it goes as far east as Georgia also.
Yeah, we assume that that's why. I don't, a couple players could just have bleach blonde hair, but I think with the excess, we can assume that a lot of it is for state championship type games. Of course, we are talking with Maltby, knew some of the players like Rafferty. I played in state championships and actually won, so that's good to hear. Still a full count. Big swing. This one's into left field. Coming on, making the grab out there is Martindale. He's still out in left field. I believe that's still him.
It's been tough to keep up with. Some pitching changes from players in the field always makes things a little bit more complicated. But, yeah, nice play over there, ranging to his left.
That's exactly right. We're still waiting on the next guy, but we might bring him in after this half inning unless it goes too long. Then we'll probably bring him out. But you're stuck with us for now. Again, it seems like we've seen Inyart on deck for a lot of times. I'm not sure if he's just got a recognizable face. He's looking back at us too now. Ground ball out to short. The throw over and a good scoop at first base and in time.
Great scoop
to get out number 2. So 1-2-3 inning for the Camp All-Stars in the bottom half of the 4th inning. And now have a chance for another 1-2-3. Inyart trying to end that. Like I was saying, it seems like we've seen him on deck all the time, but he's at the top step and he's licking his chops.
Yeah, when there's 10 runs, these guys are going to come up to the plate pretty often, and I'm sure they love the opportunity, even though it's not off ABL pitching, to just get live reps at the plate. Obviously, a machine or even your own teammates aren't going to be quite the same as facing a guy you're not comfortable with. And so, I mean, that's what the summer's all about as a whole, is just getting those reps. And so now, while you're in it, like, I mean, yeah, it might not be a game that counts towards the record or your stats, but any chance you can get to see live ABs against a guy that you might not be used to seeing pitches from is valuable, especially in college where you're playing these teams midweek for just one game, not going to have any repeat pitchers in that situation other than the starter, of course. And even in these weekend series, if you're only playing a team once over the season, you might only see some of those guys once. And with the transfer portal that Coach Montez mentioned, a lot of guys moving programs, even if you're playing a usual conference opponent. So, yeah, great opportunity for these guys to just see some pitches.
Yeah, and even with the Camp All-Stars here, we see Inyart taking huge swings. We've seen really loud outs from this Bucks team. They're not working around this high school team, trying to give them any advantage or anything like that. They're playing them just how they would play any other team, and I really appreciate that from them. I'm sure the All Stars do
Yeah,
too.
that's what I was gonna say. You don't want to have a good performance because of a lack of effort on the other side. It's like a dad playing basketball with his son. Son's like, Dad, please try your hardest. Please try your hardest. You want to actually beat him. And I think these players want to be taken seriously. And even though they're not doing as well as they'd like to on the scoreboard, I think that they wouldn't want to do better on the scoreboard as a result of a lack of
Yes,
effort from the Bucks.
yes, most definitely. And that's gonna end the hopes of a 1-2-3 bottom half of the fifth inning in yard line drive base hit. And that will bring up Peyton Knowles. And he too's been up a lot. All these guys, a lot of at bats, but even with 10 runs scored, only 5 hits given
Yeah.
up. And we've seen a lot of walks, and obviously, it's not the best thing for these pitchers, but they've done a good job at keeping the ball in the ballpark. And I
Yeah.
know that's crazy to say because there hasn't been a lot of home runs,
But
but
you'd
you
expect one today in all
exactly
honesty.
with high schoolers on the mound. We even saw the 2027 guy, Jacob Johnson, come out there and
Yeah.
pitch a little bit. I mean, these guys, not saying that they're not going to be in these guys in the Bucks' shoes in a couple of years, but you just never know. And some of these guys might have career-ending injuries, or these guys just might not figure it out at the collegiate level. But here right now, they're doing a good job. And as crazy as it sounds, they're sticking with them. Only 3 less hits than these Bucks, and yeah, the walks are doing them not so good here. That one gets away, and Inyart's going to jog to
And
second
I think
base.
that's been the biggest problem for these
Yes.
all-stars has been in the field. 4 errors already. We've seen the walks, but I think, managing the baseball, and the Bucks have taken advantage
Right,
of that.
right.
They've gotten the extra 90 feet. They've pushed the envelope to make these guys make the plays, especially when it's guys that aren't necessarily playing with each other throughout the season, coming from different schools and such. So smart stuff from the Bucks, making these guys make extra plays, and we saw it from other teams earlier in the ABL season, specifically the Oilers, I believe it was, bunting and saying, hey, these guys haven't played together. Let's see how they can handle it. And so far, the All Stars not at their best in that situation, but yeah, no, these pitchers haven't given up a ton of hits.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to notice from what you just said is they're just not gelled together. A lot of these guys are coming from different teams, and yeah, you could say the same about the Bucks. It's only 6 games in here, but we don't know how much this team plays together. And yeah, 4 errors, it's not what you want to see, but to be totally honest with you, coming into this game, that's the biggest difference. It's gonna be those errors, it's gonna be those plays in the field, wild pitches, pass balls, as that one's hit foul. But that's the biggest difference is these Bucks, they play clean baseball, and when you get to college ball, obviously we saw the Miners have 3 errors yesterday. The Chinooks had a good bit of errors. But for this Bucks team who's had errors in the past, that's the biggest difference. When you go from high school to college, it's just the plays on the field, being clean, being quick with it, clean baseball. In high school, it's just no matter how good your team is, you just one error could lead to another one, and that leads to another one, and then that leads to a walk, that
Yep.
leads to a run, and things just spiraled. When I think about high school, I think about how easy things were to spiral. Obviously, I wasn't on the best team and wasn't the best player myself, but I knew that, I make an error over here on a play that should have been caught, and next thing I know, we've got bases loaded because other guys, have had errors too. But this Bucks team, and just in general, collegiate teams, that one error, brush it off, and you go the rest of the game with no errors.
I mean, 27 outs are hard enough to get, and those errors make you make even more than that.
And it looks like it was misplayed out there in center field, and the left fielder not knowing exactly whose ball that was. And that's just another thing. It's just the communication
Yep.
aspect and stuff like that. And these Bucks players have an advantage because they're coming from college coaches.
And we saw at the beginning of this Buck season, first practice, going through some of those signs, first and third, things like that. And I think with the camp this week, if I had to guess, obviously we weren't here, but they were more focused on, just getting these players better. Not as much so this game specifically, so maybe not as much time spent on things like that.
Yeah, and here now we're joined by Mike Sarhat. And he just came in to join us. And when I mean not just now, but just came to Anchorage to join us. And Mike, you were on the team last year. First of all, welcome back to Anchorage. We spent the day with you the other day fishing. And if you don't know, Mike wasn't originally supposed to come up here to Anchorage. You were talking with Sean about coming back up here, and it was honestly a quick decision, right?
Yeah, it was. It was. I went to my exit meeting. My coach was like, we'd love for you to go throw some more innings. I was like, sure. Alaska's a great place to go do that.
Yeah, and you come up and immediately have a day off, and you're not thinking about settling in, taking a chill day. You want to go up and you want to go fishing, and I think that says a lot about you. And you seem like a pretty adventurous guy, and we had a really good time with you fishing. And of course, we didn't catch anything, but we sure did
Of
eat good,
course.
right?
It's always a good time on the river. The fish is just a bonus.
And so you're only here for 17 days. That's not a lot, and that's not even 17 games, especially with the non-league games. Only a couple games that actually count. So what are you looking to get out of this short time here in Anchorage?
I have a few goals. I wanted to come up here, obviously get some fishing in, a little extracurricular time during the summer. But big goal this year is landing the breaking ball,
Yeah.
getting ahead with that, and being able to finish guys with fastballs late. Other than that, just want to come up here, get some work in, get back on a good lifting schedule, eat some salmon, and spend some days at the yard. I missed it for 9 months, and here we are again.
And so going back to last year, when you first came to Anchorage, what brought you here and what made you want to play here?
So I was at Nevada the year before, 2023, and my coaches were asking me where I want to play summer ball, and I was like, I really want to go check out Alaska. Heard great things about it. Obviously, I like to hike, I like to fish, so that was a little bit of a driving factor, but had a great time. The hospitality up here is different. Shout out the Madeline family; they
Yeah.
make this
Yes.
place special. Jen's the goat.
She is. She's taking care of us for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
And coming in here and being a pitcher, obviously, you don't have the reps that these hitters are going to get because you're obviously pitching more and you're focusing on that, and you only get to go out so many times pitching wise. So with being here just for 17 games, and if you're lucky, maybe you get what 8 or 9 appearances, even if that, I don't know. So such a short sample size. How are you going to go about when you get the text or you get the phone call that you're either starting or you're appearing in the game coming up?
So just found out today I got an inning on Sunday, which would be nice to touch the mound before I start on the 18th. I told Sean, told the coaches, I'm up here to throw whatever they need. If they need an inning filled, I'm here for that. It'd be nice to start again. Didn't start this year, so seeing if I got 4 or 5 and need to stretch it out a little bit, that'd be fun.
And we heard really good things about you last summer. You had a really good year. You were telling us this year is just a little bit different at school. So after a great year in college or a great year here at summer and not so good year, and how's your mindset changed now coming back up here and knowing you're not going to be up here for long and knowing that you just have just an ample amount of time really to do well this summer?
Yeah, it was a great year. Go to Point Loma D2 in San Diego, and we had a good World Series run this year. It was a special group to be a part of. Thankful for that opportunity. Just wasn't really getting ahead of hitters like I do and like I need to. So kind of took a little bit of reflection time to see what I needed to work on and ready to attack that here and then the rest of the summer as well.
And going back to last summer, like Vic mentioned, extremely successful 4.15 ERA for the Bucs. What do you think were some of the things that you did well that led you to such success?
Welcome back here, Bucks. Final crack at it, unless the All Stars put together a crazy seventh inning. Here he comes. And when I mean here he comes, here he is right now. We give him the headset. Mr. Dew on with us. Elijah, it's good to see you.
What's up? What's up? How we doing?
Elijah Dew out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and Johnson University. We mentioned this before, but the only guy really from the South, and you find your way all the way up here in Anchorage now. And I know you love seeing yourself on the camera, but you just like us, you're coming basically same distance almost. We're actually a little bit farther.
Oh
but
yeah.
Same distance. So what brought you up here? You know, it was kind of more of a last second decision. Kind of late, but just bring us through that.
Well, my head coach for my college team back at Johnson University, he was the head coach for the Pilots last year. So he got me up here to get some innings before next season. So that's my connection is Coach Serrano, Dave Serrano.
Gotcha. And out. We'll get to baseball in a second, but just living in Anchorage for a couple of weeks, what have you thought so far? What have been some of your favorite things that you've done or seen?
Not
I
the
love
weather,
it.
it looks like, huh?
Yeah, it's very cold compared to Tennessee. When I left, it was 90 degrees, so much different. But I love it up here. It's very beautiful. Probably the most beautiful place I've been. The mountains are super cool. The animals are cool. The guys on the team, they're
Mhm.
cool. I love it. I'm having a great experience.
Well, that's awesome. And coming out of Johnson U, and you told us that you're still living because you're so close to home, might as well live at home. But coming out of your comfort zone and coming all the way up here now, and you're living, not all by yourself because you're with us, but
Hmm.
just living out here. How does it feel? You're not in, your usual swing of things.
It's much different. The only time I've actually lived away from Knoxville was when I had Tommy John and I
Mm.
was living down in Dallas with working with TMI,
Yep.
and I had gotten that surgery done from Dr. Meister.
Yep.
So it's definitely much different. It's out of my comfort zone, but that's what I came up here to do, is get out of my comfort zone and see how I'd handle it.
And talking about being on the mound, first two appearances, scoreless. First one picking up a save, second one not a save situation. What were some of the things you were focusing on in those appearances that made you so effective?
The main thing I was focusing on was throwing strikes coming up here. I wasn't trying to, gas it up or trying to, you know, throw it as hard as possible. I think that is one thing that I'm maturing in as I grow older as a pitcher. When my freshman season, I focused mainly on throwing hard, seeing how hard I could throw it. But now, yeah, I've developed the ability to throw strikes. So for about the last year since I got Tommy John, I've finally been able to learn how to throw strikes. And now I'm incorporating the velocity in with it. So that's what I'm working on this summer.
And do you think that velocity focus is something that a lot of younger pitchers struggle with?
I think in today's age, especially in baseball, a lot of guys are focusing on velocity too much, and it's changed the game of baseball. It's a lot of guys, you know, you can go far by throwing hard, but you're not gonna go you're not gonna go all the way by just throwing
Hmm.
hard. The main thing a pitcher needs is to be able to throw strikes, and if you can throw strikes, no matter how hard you're throwing it, you're gonna do some damage. So I'd say definitely focus on strike throwing rather than
Hmm.
throwing hard, and then once you learn how to throw strikes, that's when you need to incorporate trying to put some velocity on it.
And you touched on it before, but Tommy John surgery put you out 2 years. A lot of times, guys can come back now with the new technology and just miss 1 year, but you had a really bad tear on
And
that
bad timing
and bad
too.
timing on that UCL
Very bad
right
timing.
before your freshman year. Just how did that affect your mental psyche more than just your physical?
I actually struggled very, very much mentally for the past couple years. I've been dealing with this injury since my senior year of high school, where I had a partial tear about halfway through, and then that led into going to Walter State. I finished out my fall there, my freshman year, and then on our last inter squad before our season, I went ahead and tore it fully, and then for the last 2 years, I've been dealing with that. So this last season at Johnson, that was the first opportunity I've had since Tommy John to pitch in games. So, you know,
And you did really well this past year. We mentioned 2-0 with a 2.04 ERA and 14 appearances. Just gave up that one home run, three saves. You already have a save here. 4 runs given up in 17 and two-thirds inning. And it is so um, unbelievable that you were able to do that with 2 years off and
Yeah.
going from your last time you threw in game was in high school as a senior. And obviously you've got the fall games, you got those exhibitions, but that's not the same.
hmm
Your last time facing real competition when it counted in its reals in
hmm
high school, and you come out as age-wise a junior, but really a freshman, pitching-wise, and you come out and you do that. How it must have brought your mental psyche way back up.
yeah, it definitely improved my mental game. I'd say that Tommy John really matured me as a person and as a baseball player. Before Tommy John, I could be arrogant, a little bit cocky, full of myself.
Hmm.
Focusing on velocity like we talked about. You
Right.
know, seeing who's the hardest thrower. But yeah, Tommy John for that 18 to 20 months of recovery, it really built me as a person and it matured me a lot. And so it sounds weird to say, but I'm thankful I got
Mhm.
Tommy John because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the type of transferred over to Johnson. Actually, I struggled trusting God to be in control of my life, and I try to do it all myself. And so I think that's why I think I was struggling so much mentally. I think that's why I struggled on the field. You know, I struggled in many ways through in life, and once I learned to put my trust in God, my life has gotten crazy better in all aspects. You know, depending on whether I'm doing good or bad, I've have greater relationships. I've made good relationships with coaches, players. You know, just life is going much better with life isn't about baseball. I love baseball. I strive every day to be as good as I can at baseball. But at the end of the day, that's not what life's all about. And so, like I said, it's all in God's timing.
And talking about that baseball, obviously you're up here this summer to play baseball, but you're also given the opportunity to be in Alaska and be around all these guys, you know, each and every day. What has it been like being around these guys in the clubhouse and the dugout on those bus rides, things like that?
They're great guys. They're super awesome. I'm having a great time with them. Um, every one of them, I actually wish that this summer could just keep on going and
Yeah.
going. I wish I didn't have to go home because these guys are awesome. They're teaching me a lot. You know, I come from an NAI program. Um, many of these guys are from high level Division Ones, so I'm learning a lot about their process and how they go about things that I didn't know before. So, you know, they're teaching me a lot. My coaches are teaching me a lot about the game, building great relationships. Hopefully, that'll last a lifetime. Hopefully, I'll keep in touch with these guys when it's all done. Because, I mean, yeah, they're all great guys.
They're going to join in. They'll shake these hands of the young players.
Great to see.
Yep, very great to see Sean Maltby leading the charge right behind the coaches. And it was so thankful that everyone sat down with us. First, want to thank Sean Maltby, Coach Montez, Springman, Dunham, Sanagorski, of course, Mike Sarhat, and then Elijah Dew to cap this one off. And
Yep.
Will, we came up with the idea of this broadcast.
It was you. I'll give you credit where
I
it's
know.
due. It was a phenomenal idea.